Welcome to the City Show. I'm your host, Dr. Tom Krieger. On this show, we're going to introduce you to Table 15. That's a local band featuring Peg and Scott Gold and their most interesting approach to making music. I want to find out about the name Table 15. That's pretty interesting too. But first, we're going to kick off today's show with a look at a new event at Countryside YMCA, an indoor triathlon that takes place in January. It's a good thing it's not outdoor since it's up here in January. Here to tell us about all this is CEO of the Countryside Y, Chris Johnson, personal trainer extraordinaire, Kim Schwieger, and Eileen Girdwood from Girdwood Orthodontics, and a passionate supporter of all things athletic in Lebanon. Guys, welcome to the couch. Welcome to the City Show. Chris, CEO of the biggest YMCA in the galaxy. Okay.
Yeah, or at least the country.
That's amazing. And you've been doing that job for how long?
Almost 2 years. It'll be two years in March.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you hear this. You probably get tired of this, but great job. I mean,
thank you.
I am a fitness snob, and I look at everything you guys do and all the equipment that you bring in, and nothing's ever broken down, nothing's ever dirty, and how you do it with the army of people. So, well, let's salute you, sir.
Thank you.
Well done. And you have a new thing. We have an outdoor triathlon. How did this event get started at the YMCA? Was this your brainstorm?
Yeah, you know, there are many outdoor triathlons, and you mentioned we were brainstorming one day, there was a group of us. What are some other events that we could do? So we're always looking. What are ways to bring even more to the community? You know, we want to build healthy spirit, mind, body. So what are things that we could bring that people might be interested in participating in? One, just for their own benefit, and then we're also always looking for projects that support our campaign. So again, the proceeds from this will help us offer the Y to people that can't afford to on their own.
Okay.
So we have that goal. But it really came down to, you mentioned it's January.
Yeah.
And we have all this great equipment, we have all this great space, and you have people who are wanting to be active and they're wanting to be involved. And we've seen some others in the area where they decided, let's take that outdoor triathlon idea and bring it indoors.
Wow.
And Eileen stepped up and others and said, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, triathlon is swim, bike, run. Did I get
Correct.
it right?
Yes. Thank you.
Way to go. What exact events? I mean, how are you doing that inside differently than outside? Are you using stationary bikes? Are you using what's the difference as far as inside?
Well, let me talk about first outdoor triathlon. You have four main distances. You have a sprint distance, Olympic distance, which that's what you'll see in the Olympics. There's half Ironman, and everybody thinks when they think triathlon, Ironman, which is the longest distance, ends in a marathon for the run. With this indoor triathlon, it's more like a sprint distance. Okay. So we're starting out with, there'll be a 10-minute swim in the competition pool, and then a transition, a 20-minute bike on the spin bikes in our spin room, and then a 5-minute transition, and then a 15-minute run on the treadmills in the CSC.
Okay. Now, 20-minute spin, you're going at whatever intensity you want, or you have to get a certain mileage, or is it just time?
Well, what you're trying to do, like first in your 10-minute swim, is swim as far as you can. Okay. Get as many laps as you can in that 10 minutes. And then on the spin bike, you're trying to get miles. Okay. So
whoever
it
walks
all depends.
The most, they win.
Yes.
I gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the same way with the run. How far can you run on that treadmill in 15 minutes?
Okay.
So it's individual. It's by your own, that time, and then your own individual distance you can do in that time.
Well, what a fun way to compete against yourself. And I'm not volunteering that I'm going to do it, but it doesn't frighten me as much. You know, I mean, I would think of a name that we could give something smaller than that. Instead of an Ironman, we could go with Rubber Band Man.
Yeah.
It's easy and it's flexible, and I'd sign up for that. But that's doable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
So
doable.
do you have much interest so far? Is this campaign just starting?
Yeah, I know there's people registering already, so that's exciting. And it's going to be on January the 18th. Okay. It's going to start at 6 at night. So we're doing ours at nighttime.
Nice.
And there'll be several different heats. I think we have 8 people in each heat.
Okay.
And we'll send a heat off every 15 minutes. And then with the last 2 heats, they're actually going to do a longer distance, double the distance, for people that are already seasoned triathletes that want that challenge of the longer distance. So
So Kim, what,
So if I can jump in, we know, like I said, there are regular triathletes. They're looking for things like this.
yeah,
But we also think this is one of those great events that someone says, I've never done a triathlon.
yeah,
You know, this is a chance to do it. And like you kind of said before, maybe step into it a little less daunting
Yeah.
when they first think about it and say, here's my chance to do a first triathlon. And so we really hope we attract some of those people as well. It's like, this is an idea that maybe they've had in the back of their head. Maybe they are looking for how they're going to challenge themselves in the new year. And this could be a way to step into that.
You know what frightens me? The thought of, and again, not that I even have the courage to attempt what you guys do. When I say you, Kim, and your crazy husband, Kevin, is getting in a body of water like a lake with a bunch of other people around me. I'm going to drown, or I'm taking someone else down, because I'm going to, because you get all those people out there.
Yeah.
There's a danger factor. You're in a pool. It's safe. All those push those fears away. This is your chance. Yeah. And even the bike and everything else, the distances are so good. But how would you recommend training somebody for this? What kind of stuff, Kim, would you do?
I would recommend actually signing up for the triathlon training class.
Nice.
The next one starts January 12th, and they do that on Sundays from 3:45 to 5:45. So they'll work one-on-one with you.
Yeah.
How do I swim? Work on a little bit on my technique. Bike, what kind of bike do I need? How do I know if it fits right? Running, what kind of running shoes do I need? And then they'll also help you with transitions. So it's important to know how to transition from one event to another.
Wow.
So that would be a huge help if you are wanting to do a triathlon. And then the other thing, of course, I have to push my personal training, is it's very important for people to still strength train when they're training for a triathlon, just to reduce the risk of injuries. Because not only does it make your muscles stronger, it's going to strengthen your bones, your tendons, your ligaments, and you're going to be stronger on everything.
So do you change your rep range with getting people ready? Do you go higher reps?
Yeah,
or?
I probably would go lighter weight and higher reps.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now back to the triathlon specific training. Is that a class? Is that one-on-one?
It is a class.
Yeah.
It is a class. But if you're, and you don't have to be able to even to swim. If you I don't know how to swim, or I need help swimming, they'll help you with that. I need to work on my breathing. I need better technique. They'll help you with all of that. Wow. And that's why I think this, if you're wanting to do a triathlon, this is the best way to start, because it's not, you have to do a certain distance.
Yeah.
You go in there and you swim for 10 minutes. If you only do a quarter mile, that's great. And it's totally up to whatever you want to make it.
What about ages? Is there an age limit for this event?
Well, it starts at age 15.
Okay.
So we're starting it there.
Yeah.
But it can go to any age. I mean, we
Yeah.
have Earl Edmonds at the Y, who's 73 years old and does all kinds of triathlon and is very good at it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you can be 100 years old.
Yeah.
And if you can do the swim, bike, and run, you could do the triathlon.
I don't like these old guys that are just outdoing everybody. Like Butch Dowd,
Yeah.
72 years old, and he's like, every time I see him, he's more muscular. I think he's like standing too close to the microwave or something. He's got some advantage. Okay, I'm not saying he's on the juice or the sauce, but and anyway, I kind of got off the topic there. But is there an average time needed to compete? I mean, can anybody come in this?
Anybody could come to the triathlon training class.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, especially if you're thinking about something, like I want to do a short outside triathlon this summer, it's perfect timing. Perfect timing.
How many people in the class?
Good question.
Yeah. Is it limited or?
I think I was part of the very first triathlon class that the
Yeah.
Countryside Y did. I actually brought my shirt
There
with
we go.
me. I'll show my shirt.
Oh,
Wow. That's-
Team Triathlon.
That's nice.
And we had, I think, about a dozen people in our class.
Okay.
And everybody had different abilities. There were some people that were already good at the swim. Actually, I was already good at swimming.
Yeah.
So I was challenged more on, getting faster at my
Yeah,
swim.
okay.
Run was my weak point. So I had to really focus on that. But yeah, you had people that were good at spinning, good at running, good at swimming, but there's nobody that was good at all three. So it was a challenge, for everybody to learn a different discipline.
Now you're going to have people from all different levels, but for the competitors, what roadblocks or obstacles face them coming from outdoors to being inside? Are there any things that they need to be thinking of? It's one of the questions on the card. I'm thinking the same thing. Yeah. What's the order of the events? Do they need to be? Are they going to burn out in one versus the other? Do they get time between? Because there's a rest, right?
Yeah.
Just 5 minutes.
Just 5
yeah,
minutes.
the transition
not
is very
very
short.
Okay.
Yeah, so for the most part, I mean, what's going to feel different to many is, again, you're not going to be in that massive humanity in the water. So it is going to be a little more of you're managing your individualized performance. Now, for many of them, they're doing that already, you know, with a watch or with something. They kind of know their targets, their time. But it's probably going to feel even more that way of you have your lane in the pool.
Okay.
And then you have your bike, and then you have your treadmill. So it may not feel like that competition in the sense, but I think the other side of that is you can really perform against yourself and your own standard, and how are you going to push yourself. And like we said, to that beginner, I think that's a safety in that. It's like I get to come and just worry about me and not worry about either who am I running into or who am I slowing down or who am I doing it right or not. There's going to be a lot of freedom. And we think, especially for this first year, enough volunteers that we'll have on site to even help people through that.
And even the 5 minutes in between sounds like a long time, but when you're trying to get from the pool to the spin room and, you know, changing your shoes and whatever, 5 minutes will go quick.
Fast.
Yeah.
What about dietary? Because I know with the regular triathlon, nutrition is a big part. Are you touching on that too?
Nutrition is a big part of it, and we actually have a dietitian that we can put you in touch with at the YMCA with help with that. And then I forgot to mention too, along with the triathlon training class, they're going to have Lisa Duncan, who is the head physical therapist down at Atrium Medical Center. She's going to come to one of the classes and talk about...
Don't tell me her crazy husband Bob is going to be here too.
No,
he's and I mean, I say crazy in... Bob, don't come get me. But I mean, that's a term of endearment. That's like calling my kids knuckleheads.
He and Kevin are the same.
And Bob, you're a knucklehead. You're like the elite guy. So he's not teaching because he should be, because he's so amazing.
No, but Lisa's going to talk about injury prevention.
Okay, and she's brilliant too.
She is amazing triathlete.
Wow.
So,
you guys are pulling out all the superheroes. Now, what about your husband Kevin? Is he going to be teaching at all, or
no?
Because he's another.
Keep him to the side.
Okay. He's off riding a bull
He's a
somewhere.
little too crazy.
Yeah.
Now, Eileen, Girdwood Orthodontics supports just about every running event in and around Lebanon. Thank you, and your husband. You guys do so much. You're so community based, and without that support, it doesn't work. So, so thanks. But obviously, you have a passion for this. Have you run in these races before?
Yeah, Bart and I both do triathlon quite often, and it actually started out as a bucket list thing.
Okay.
When our youngest went to college, I wanted to do something, and it's like something endurance. So I thought, oh, I'll do a 5K.
Yeah.
And it went from 5K to, oh, now I'll do a 10K. Oh, now I'll do a half marathon. Well, when you're doing the same sport over and over, what happens? You get hurt.
Yeah.
And I got hurt.
Okay.
And so I did go through physical therapy with Lisa Duncan, and because I had a hamstring injury. And that's when they said, well, what about triathlon? Do you know how to swim? And I said, well, yes, I know how to swim. Well, let's get you swimming, biking, running. You'll be doing these different disciplines, so you won't be beating up your body with one sport. And that's how I got into triathlon. And then Bart, who is an avid runner, saw me doing the triathlon. He's like, I want to do that. But he didn't know how to swim.
Yeah.
And so he took adult swimming lessons at the Countryside Y, became a swimmer, and then he started doing triathlon. And so we've both done so many triathlons over the years.
Have you done Boston?
No.
What's the biggest one you've done?
Well, the biggest one, gosh, I've done them all over the state of Ohio. Bart just did half Ironman in Lake Placid, which is...
Oh, that's amazing.
That was pretty amazing. And did it injury-free,
Okay.
which was really nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you mentioned you got started through people you met, and Bart was a runner. When is the Countryside YMCA Indoor Triathlon? What's the date of this?
It's January the 18th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a lot of time to train for it, but again, you don't have to compete. It's not
Right, yeah.
And how many people are you expecting sign up for this?
I think we have the capacity for 64 people
Yeah.
to do it, as far as the time slots that we have.
Oh, you're gonna fill it.
Yeah.
You got to have another one in February.
Well, and
Yeah.
Tom,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is year one, so we really are.
Yeah.
We're really making sure we do this one well,
There you go.
with the idea that then this becomes something that grows bigger and bigger each year.
I would see you'd have no problem filling that.
Yeah.
Do you have to be a Y member to participate? No.
Nope,
No.
nope. You can sign up on our website, countryside.ymca.org, and information's there, and we'd love
Yeah.
to have people join us.
But I imagine the class, there's a cost for the class?
There is a cost
Yeah.
for the class, but you do not have to be a member to take the class
Okay.
either. And all that information is online,
Wow.
triathlon training class.
Wow. Are you stepping away from the desk and jumping in here? Or?
Oh, man. I just got put on the spot. That is not the plan right now, but I may get drug in. Yeah.
I think we should follow you with the cameras and just see your progress and just encourage other
Pressure.
Somebody set
the
me up
lead
for
on.
that.
other young
Somewhere.
executives like yourself.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
And that can be a whole different. We can
Lead-
do an executive triathlon.
Lead by example.
Yeah, exactly. How do we sign up?
Again, countryside.ymca.org, and the information's there. And it's you can sign up now, and we fill it up.
And the fee is
It's $35.
okay. Okay.
Come participate, and there'll be a check-in the day before or that morning before, but then it starts in the evening, and we'll have different stages.
And this goes to the YMCA and all the other programs.
Yeah, the proceeds from this will help us support, again, people who can't experience the Y on their own, as we help them with financial assistance, or we do our respite care and kinship care programs, or Live Strong, all those programs that we offer the community. This
Thank you
is
so
one of the
much.
ways we support
Yeah.
that.
When's your big fundraiser come up?
We have our gala in March.
Okay.
Is one of our big funders as well, and we're still, even right now, we're a 501c3, so we're asking people as they're
Yeah.
making their end-of-year giving decisions to consider the Y
Okay.
for that as well.
Well, that's a good cause and a good organization to be part of. You mentioned a few of the things that you do. Can you touch a little bit more on some of the programs that the Y does, and why people should team up at the end of the year and give that money to the Y?
Yep, we would so appreciate it. And the first one we do is just memberships and programs in these classes. So for people that can't afford on their own, we offer financial assistance. But then we also try to identify what are needs in the community that we can meet. And so we've done a lot recently with respite care, where those are, again, special needs children. We provide a night off for parents, so they can bring the kids in. We have the caregivers there to care for those children and their siblings, so parents can get a night off. We've been doing more and more with kinship care. We're seeing more and more where grandparents or aunts and uncles are taking custody of young children, and they're kind of back into that again after being out of it for years. And we're doing some of the same, offering small group supports or offering child care to those families at no charge.
Wow.
And then the other one I mention often is our Live Strong programs. This is for cancer survivors. Again, you don't need to be a member of the Y. You don't need, and anyone, whether you are just coming through cancer or it was 30 years ago, you can be a part of this program. And it's just to encourage finding wholeness again. Physical wholeness, mental wholeness, spiritual wholeness coming out of cancer, which often seems to rob people of feeling that way.
Yeah.
So those are just a few, and there are many more.
How about this whole mind, body, spirit thing? I mean, we live in a politically correct society, which I struggle with, and yet you guys are up front with that. And I can tell you're all nodding, and it strikes a place in your heart that resonates nicely for you. Can you speak into that as far as what's the spirit component at the Y, and how do you address that?
Yeah, so when we say how are we going to build mind, body, spirit, we're going to do it through Christian programs that do that. And so again, we're going to start in our child care and all of our classes just with character. So what does it mean to pour into the character of someone while you're also teaching them the skills or the things that they're pursuing or the things that we just had a talk today is like sometimes people will come to the Y for a physical need, but in that process they get to know someone who can then reach out and say, how are you doing today? And I really mean that. And so a lot of times our programs or our equipment or this big building that we have, they're just a means for us to be in relationship.
Wow.
And then it's in that relationship that we can truly help each other. And that's what we want to encourage our people to not be afraid of that. You said in this society, people are so cautious. They want to, and we're trying to say here we'd like to be a safe place where you don't have to be so cautious. You can really get to know each other. You can really care for each other, and we'll leave all that other stuff outside and just be probably more what we should be in all places. But let's try to make the Y like that.
I like the things that you guys have on the TVs. That's awesome because people see that. I love the fact that you have a church with a wonderful pastor, David Newman.
Yep.
And it's growing, and how that's gone into the community. I love, and again, I'm hard when I look at trainers and programs. I'm very judgmental and very critical, but I love what you guys do. Now you've been a Nazi trainer out there for just beating down on people and killing people.
Yeah.
And you have
For a
to be
long time.
particularly wired in a certain way to do that and have people want to come back.
Yeah.
And you've been a personal trainer for how many years?
15, 16,
Yeah.
I'm not even sure.
Wow.
Yeah, but I have a lot of clients that I've had for a long time. And again, it's kind of like what Chris talked about. It's more about the relationship that you build with that person.
It's interesting. People think, well, I'll just get a membership, and if you don't have the right direction, the right coaching, it's not going to work. So as we approach New Year's, one of my favorite quotes, anybody who knows me knows this, Napoleon Hill from Think and Grow Rich. A failure of a plan is a plan to fail. So you have to have a plan for the triathlon. You have to have a plan for your workouts. And the Y has so many wonderful programs: the Pilates, the classes, the swimming classes. I saw a guy leading an aerobic class down there that was my age or older, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. So they got something for everybody. So if you haven't been to the Y, go down there and get a tour. We have the fundraiser coming up in March. Encourage you to consider being a supporter of the Y. How many people attend that?
So we'll have about 400 will attend that event, and right now we're at about 24,000 total members.
Wow.
So when you think about that, and you kind of mentioned before, I mean, you have the plan, but we find over and over, it's when you get to know a few people there that miss you when you're gone.
Exactly.
That's what gets you back.
Yeah.
I talk to people who they make it to the parking lot and they have trouble talking themselves into the building, and then they think, well, so and so is going to wonder where I am, and that really, when you build those relationships in the classes or just in the different, hey, the people in the lap lane next to you in the pool, that really is what draws you back.
Bunch of little tribes at the YMCA.
Yeah.
A sense of community. Let's make sure we recap that the event is coming up. It's January
18th.
And you sign up.
You can sign up at the webpage, countrysideymca.org, and $35, and come swim, bike, run.
Do you get a shirt?
Yes, you do,
a
and some other
Like
swag
that?
too.
Because that is a good
nice,
shirt.
even nicer shirt than
What,
this.
and other swag? Is that what you
swag.
said?
Swag.
Yeah.
Okay.
A shirt and swag.
Yes.
Yeah, you're pretty hip. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, listen, guys, thanks for being on the couch. I appreciate what you do at the Y, and Kim, I appreciate our friendship. Eileen, so nice to meet you. Scott, nice meeting you. Keep it up. I appreciate you. Stay tuned. We'll be back to the City Show with Table 15.
Break your fast food habit at Kelly's Meats and Deli at 1001 West Main Street in Lebanon. Stop in for a quick lunch featuring made-to-order sandwiches, tasty sides, and mouth-watering daily specials. For dinner, Kelly's offers fresh-cut steaks, chops, and seafood, plus a variety of prepared dishes that only need to be reheated. You'll also find a large selection of high-quality wine and beer that can make any meal a special event. Kelly's Meats and Deli open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, now open for dinner Saturdays 6 to 9 p.m. And remember, we cater too.
Your hometown source, the Lebanon Channel, is now on YouTube.
I know how fortunate I am.
Just search City of Lebanon, Ohio to connect with everything that's happening right here.
And that's going to be an exciting part about this walking tour.
Subscribe to receive exclusive local content available only on the Lebanon Channel.
Wow, Neil Armstrong's coming to my launch. I was so excited about that.
That's the City of Lebanon, Ohio, now on YouTube.
That's what makes this Lebanon, Ohio a great place to live.
Yeah. When it comes to healthcare, the most common question I get is, are you on our insurance? Well, we're probably not because we don't accept insurance, but our prices are extremely fair and you're going to get great care. So if your plan is to get great care, we are your plan. We offer chiropractic, fitness programs, massage, and clinical nutrition. So if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, call our office, schedule for a free consultation so we can discuss any question you have and get you well.
Call now to schedule your free initial consultation.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back. We're here with Table 15. They're in the studio. Peg and Scott Gold are kind of still on their honeymoon. They just got married back in March, and they've been together as a musical duo for longer than that, as Table 15. Peg sings and plays the flute, while Scott plays the bass, but not in a way that you're used to hearing that instrument. You're gonna sample that today. Before we talk to them, I'm going to let you listen to some of the unique sound of Table 15.
Yeah.
Wow.
Groovy.
Wow, that was amazing. You blew my mind.
Right
That was amazing. Peg, let's start with you. You worked at the Western Star for many years, and now you're employed with Warren County Career Center. Can you tell us about what you do there?
Okay, I do the communications, so social media, the website. I get to interview incredible students and write their stories, which is like my favorite thing to do. I just interviewed a young lady who just earned a $9,000 flight scholarship. She's in our aerospace academy and she wants to be a pilot.
Oh my.
And so I just got to write that story and put it on our website. So I get to do fun stuff.
Yeah, so you've got your passion with music, and see, obviously you got your passion helping these kids. Some of these kids do you see some of the young adults getting a second chance at life, and how's that make you feel?
Great.
Because you're like the liaison.
It is. Everybody that works there feels like it's a mission. You know, we're on a mission to help people.
That's awesome.
So it's good.
Why the flute?
Well, when I was in high school, I took lessons at College Conservatory of Music on Saturdays. They had a program, and I took flute, guitar, piano, voice, and theory, which theory didn't stick. But I took a bunch of instruments, and I loved Jethro Tull, and was very influenced by that sound and wanted to play the flute. So I took a few years of lessons, and then I just kind of taught myself after that.
Wow.
I play totally by ear. So.
And did you study music in college much, or
no? No.
Wow.
Just kind of did it all on my own.
So you must have a natural instinctive talent.
Well, my mother is a pianist. My father played the trumpet. So.
Okay. Any groups that you've played with?
For a while there, I played with this group called the Strumlords. We played around Middletown, Lebanon area, kind of 60s and 70s music.
Yeah. Nice play on words, by the way, with the name. That's the
yeah,
Strumlords.
The guitar player's wife came up with that
because
name.
names are important to you guys. We'll talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, but I played with them. I played with Greg Clark in the Royal Blues, and at the Blues Festival for a few years. Well, when I started out, when I was 19, I believe I went on the road with a band doing the Holiday Inn circuit. I was a lead singer.
Wow.
So I started out doing that when I was
we going to get to hear you sing it all today as well?
No, I don't really sing as much as I play flute right now, and the ones we've got picked out.
That's too bad for us.
Well,
I'd love to.
Come hear us play. We've got some gigs coming up.
Yeah. Do you have people in town, since you've done the Blues Festival, do you have people in town sometimes come up to you and say, hey, I recognize you, and great job, and where are you playing next? And
we do.
That's got to be neat, because we're a small town. We're talking about that too, as far as we're not LA, we're not Nashville, we're definitely not Atlanta. We're Lebanon, but we have some good history of music, and it'd be nice to see some of that come back here. And I think with guys like you here, that might be kind of a draw as far as I can't imagine you guys sitting at home and watching TV. You probably sit at home and call your friends up and say, hey, let's jam.
We play all the time.
Yeah, we do play a lot.
It's a wonderful life.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of names, Table 15.
Yes.
Scott, can you tell us about that? How did that name? Because that's kind of a unique name.
Yeah. Well, when we first started playing as a duo, I had the idea to call us Two on a Match, which I thought was a pretty cool name, and everything. And then we went to a wedding with a friend of ours, and we were seated at table 15. And on each placemat, there was a card that had our names on it, and it said, Scott Gold, table 15. Peg, Allen, table 15. And I was like, these would be good business cards, like free business card. Just take this with us if we change the name of the band to Table 15. And she said, that sounds like a good band name. So we changed it, and now it's Table 15.
Wow, that's a great story.
It's pretty fun.
How did you get started in music, Scott?
Oh. Both of my parents were professional musicians. My father is like one of the greatest clarinet players in the history of our species. He plays like Benny Goodman. and was able to do that since he was 17 years old. He was opposite Benny Goodman in New York at Basin Street East when he was 18 years old. He was prodigy and unbelievable. And so I was born in New York City, and then they didn't want to raise me in New York City, so that we moved to Miami, Florida. And I lived in Miami, Florida for 30 years. And basically got started in the business through my parents, and I've worked with everybody from Frank Sinatra to The Fifth Dimension to Ray Charles and Aretha Franklin, and the list goes on and on. So, but you know, doing that for a living, I'm always in the background, and I wanted, you know, I have to play the music for the main star, and I wanted to be the star. So I came up here, and eventually now we have this act, and I get to play lead, and I'm the star.
So primarily you learned from Dad, or did you go?
Yeah, my father and my mother both were professional musicians. I actually quit high school because I didn't care about learning about the amoeba. I wanted to play Miles Davis music. So yeah, I basically learned in the business, playing on the job. I used to work at the Fontainebleau Hotel all the time and play for different acts that would come to town. And, learned the old-fashioned way, on the job.
When did you fall in love with the bass?
Well, my mother actually played bass. My mother played upright bass and sang, and used to do gigs live on the radio at the top of the Waldorf Astoria, New York, and everything. And then when they got married and then they moved to Miami, she switched to electric bass because it was a lot easier to carry around. And they actually worked at the Doral Country Club all the time, which is now Trump Doral, or whatever. And yeah, she played bass, and she says I used to sit on the floor and watch her practice all the time, and then eventually I got so good she just gave me her bass, and never looked back.
Did Dad get a chance to meet your lovely bride?
Yes, he did, and he was amazed, and he thinks that what we have going is the greatest thing ever.
She won him over right away, huh?
Oh yeah, he said she was a genius, and I was like, yeah, that's about right.
Now you mentioned some of the people you played with. Can you share some more?
Oh, wow.
I know you're probably the kind of guy who hates to brag and tell stories, but tell us some of the...
It's interesting because a lot of the people I've played for, people don't know who they are anymore. It's a shame. You know, the entire Rat Pack, so that's Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., which was an amazing job. Joey Bishop and Peter Lawford, although they didn't really have much music.
Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis. I knew Jerry Lewis very well.
You were like a teenager then?
Yeah.
You had to be.
I started when I was like, well, I started playing jobs when I was 13, and then I started getting some of those gigs when I was like 17, 18, and then early 20s, I guess,
I could see Sammy Davis Jr. just digging the fact that a little kid was there. He probably really embraced you and encouraged you.
The best story is Frank Sinatra walks in, and of course we don't get to talk to Frank Sinatra. We deal with his conductor. And he looks at me and he goes, "Who's the kid?" And the conductor says, "Well, that's Scott. He's the first call here in Miami now for playing these types of jobs." And he looks at me and goes, "I have ties older than you." And that's it. That's all he said.
Oh, that's great. That's great. How about other bands? I mean, that's some good history, but it's something other people might...
Yeah, and then I met a famous bass player named Jaco Pastorius, he lived in Miami. He worked with my father with Mickey Rooney, and he ended up being in a band Weather Report, which was a pretty famous fusion band at the time in the 70s and 80s. So I got to do that whole thing and play modern jazz and that kind of music, and I write original modern jazz music, and you know, doing this for a living, I've had to play every type of music, especially living in South Florida where, you know, I would do reggae jobs and then salsa music. I've played a lot of music from Cuba and Puerto Rico and that kind of music. And yeah, it just goes on and on. Duke Ellington said there's only two types of music, good and bad.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. What was the lure to bring you to Lebanon?
I actually worked on a smooth jazz tour with a local piano player who was on that tour that met Peg at church. And he invited me to come. I lived in Columbus at the time, and he told me to come to Cincinnati. And he managed to book this job in Mason at Straits of Malacca. It was a Malaysian restaurant down there. And we were playing, and he invited Peg to come see us play. We were a duo. And she sat in with us, and I was amazed, and I said, wow, let's go to her house. And I basically did and never left.
Hey, musically, what did you think about this guy? Did you see
well,
how
yeah, when I
great he was right away?
Yeah, I could tell right away he was the most amazing bass player I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And he teaches me a lot. He's very patient with me because I play by ear, and I have to learn things and remember things.
Yeah.
I can't write things down. And he's very cerebral and writes things down and is very methodical with things. So
well, we have an amazing repertoire of music from all genres, and the fact that she can remember all that and play that without even really understanding theoretically what's going on is unbelievable. So instincts matter.
So the combination worked right away for you guys.
Yeah, we hit it off right away.
And how many years ago was it that you met?
5 years.
Okay.
5 years
and
ago.
you just got married in March?
Well, March a year ago.
Okay. So
yeah. So we're going on almost 2 years now.
Now, how about some Christmas music to help us get into the spirit of the season? You have anything like that you can play for us?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure, we do. Let's see. Got the Grinch.
Mean one, Mr. Grinch. Yeah. Wow. Hey, you got to love the technology. I mean, that little...
Yeah. Well, and he didn't even talk about this. He makes all these tracks.
Yeah.
He works on a production screen, and he writes all these notes down.
Oh,
and
that's brilliant. He's brilliant.
Turns it into that. He really is.
Yeah. Hey, do you have something more traditional Christmas
Yeah.
that you can play
we
for us
do.
too?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Get us in the mood, the season.
Yes.
Here.
That's about as traditional as we get.
Well, if that doesn't put you in a holiday mood, you're dead. Stick a fork in you and carry it away. Hey, you know, the big question out there probably is, how do we find out where you guys are playing?
Follow us on Facebook, Table 15.
Okay.
We're on Facebook.
But we have a
and we're going to be at Lamppost Cheese in Lebanon on Saturday, January the 25th, I believe. We were the last Saturday in January.
Hey, Scott, obviously the music industry's changed over the years. Are you still able to stay busy as a musician?
I am, because I can play any style of music, and I can read music, so I can do everything from Broadway shows to playing for different types of... I just finished the Christmas show with Nancy James, famous local singer that used to be on the Bob Braun show, and we played the Fitton Center in Dayton and or Hamilton, and so I can do jobs like that where I play for other artists and read the music, and plus I know a million songs over the years. I know every song Frank Sinatra ever sang, so I can get those types of jobs. Plus I know music from all different genres, so I play rock and roll. I play with a local rock and roll band that plays gigs around town, and funk, play with an all Afro-American band that plays all kinds of local stuff. So 70s R&B, that kind of thing. So that's the only way to make a living these days, is to be that prolific to where you can just play anything.
How about YouTube? How's that affected you?
It is amazing, because a lot of people don't go out to hear live music anymore. They can just sit in their living room and put on YouTube, and they have the computer hooked up to this amazing sound system in their living room, so they can just sit there and watch live concerts at home. But you know, it's interesting. These days you can use the computer to fix anything you play. You can play something, and if you make a mistake, you can go in there and change it, make it right. And people are realizing that you can't do that live yet, though, although they do have computers that can fix things live. For the most part, people want to go hear musicians play. And so I guess that's this is what's saving us right now.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's been great hearing you. Before we go, I'd love to hear a little bit more. Can you take us into the break?
Absolutely.
And then we'll get right into the community calendar after that.
Right now at Bob Pulte Chevrolet, purchase a 2019 Silverado for $9,000 below GM employee pricing. That's a savings of up to $14,000. With over 100 new Silverados to choose from and the best trade value guarantee, why shop anywhere else? And you'll love the Pulte price.
Since 1954, Hardy's Interiors has been providing quality furnishings for homes in and around Lebanon, Ohio. Today, you'll still find quality antique and vintage furniture along with new made-in-America furniture of all styles. At Hardy's, you can create a mix of furniture and accessories that truly reflects your personality, all made to last a lifetime. Designers are welcome and so are you. Hardy's Interiors at 208.5 Wright Avenue or online at hardysinteriors.com.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who wants to care of you.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Right now at Bob Pulte Chevrolet, all Blazers, Trax, and Equinoxes are priced thousands below GM employee pricing. With all these savings and a best trade value guarantee, why shop anywhere else? Shop 24/7 at bobpulte.com and you'll love the Pulte price.
Time for the community calendar. The Warren County Historical Society invites you to experience Christmas at Glendower, running every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from noon to 4 p.m. through December 29th. Tickets are $10 for adults and $6 for students. You can order your tickets online at www.wchsmuseum.org or call the museum at 513-932-1817. Start the new year off right with the Cedar Creek State Park first day hike on Wednesday, January 1st at 1 p.m. They'll start slow with a 1-mile guided hike around the Nature Center and build to a 13-mile perimeter hike in October. It's a great way to start a New Year's resolution to get fit. If you want more on the first, you can stick around for a 3-mile hike to some of Cedar Creek's most popular landmarks. For more information, contact the Nature Center at 513-897-2437. The Warren County Senior Citizens Club will host their first free potluck lunch of 2020 on Monday, January 6th at noon at the Lebanon American Legion Hall, located at 620 North Broadway across from the Warren County Fairgrounds. Bring a side dish or a dessert and enjoy a free lunch with longtime friends and new acquaintances. Lunch is followed by a short business meeting and games. And with that, we wish you Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'd like to put a thank you out for watching the show throughout the year, and thanks also to our sponsors, Kelly's Deli, Eretz Design Florist, the City of Lebanon, and Al Hardy for letting us use some of his great furniture on the set. We'll be back January 7th with our first show of 2020. We'll see you then.